But first, the Black Lives Matter protest in Sydney today, or non-protest really. Police broke up the rally before it even started, arresting 6 people, including the protest leaders, after the protest was declared illegal for breaking social distancing laws.
Ladies and gentlemen, you need to step back.
Justice for David Dungay. We will not stop until the guards are charged. Now for David Dungay. Charge the guards who killed David Dungay. Charge the guards who killed David Dungay now.
Okay, non-event you might think, but while the protest was stopped, its poison remains. And that's because the whole story of this protest, will it go ahead, won't it go ahead, gave the organisers a platform to spread a false and dangerous story about our police and prison system. They spread this foul story that our police and our prison warders were racists, murdering Aborigines. Here is the main organiser, Paddy Gibson, who you just saw getting arrested, on the project last night, virtually unchallenged.
So Australia's going to continue to incarcerate 10-year-old Aboriginal children, and the vast majority of the kids inside are Aboriginal children. They're tortured in these kind of centres. This is the kind of treatment people get. It's absolutely urgent, and particularly the case of David Dungay Jr. His family aren't going to stop. Charge the guards that killed David Dungay Jr.
This David Dungay that he mentioned, well, he's now the hero victim of the media left. He's the, as the Guardian Australia said, Dungay's death in 2015 in Long Bay Jail has become a symbol of the Australian Black Lives Matter movement. The 26-year-old died after 5 guards rushed his cell to stop him eating biscuits. That's the media left story now. Prison staff killing a poor Aboriginal man for the crime of just eating biscuits. Same story from the SBS, taxpayer funded. Prison staff ordered him to stop eating biscuits. When he refused, guards held him down. The ABC, taxpayer funded. Mr Dungay died in jail after 5 guards restrained him and gave him a powerful sedative. No reason given by the SBS or ABC, no reason given by the project either, which just ran a word from Dungay's mother saying she would keep protesting until officers were charged.
I'm going to march on Mother Earth where they put my son under my feet, and I will not rest and I will not give up.
But there are 3 important things that none of these reports, plus others I've read, have told you. 3 important things that if reporters did tell, might make you lose some sympathy with Black Lives Matter, might make you doubt this story that we have racist police and warders murdering Aborigines who shouldn't even be in jail. Maybe that's why these facts were omitted, but let me give them to you. First, and the least important of them, that's true, this protest organiser, Paddy Gibson. Who is he? Well, he is a Marxist academic at the University of Technology, Sydney, who has tweeted that police are pigs and that his whole life is dedicated to campaigning against Australian values, which he defines as genocide, apartheid, imperialism and white supremacy. And he's written that the Russian Revolution, which in fact imposed a murderous communist dictatorship, was actually one of the most profound acts of human liberation in history. So I wonder why journalists really trust this man to give them history lessons about us. More important, point 2, but still not the most important details the journalist didn't mention, why exactly was David Dungay in jail? Well, his criminal record had already included several robberies with violence and with a weapon in company, and then he was jailed for the attempted rape of his girlfriend, who was just 16. When police arrested him, he was chasing his girlfriend around a car with a brick and had just bashed her with a broom, and then he punched her in the head. Dungay was also jailed for breaking into a house with 3 mates to rob it. Inside was a 61-year-old man plus his sick wife and his 90-year-old mother-in-law. This gang bashed and stabbed that man so badly that he needed 27 stitches. Now, you're right. You know, it's bad, but that certainly would not justify killing Dungay in jail. But it does show that he wasn't in jail for nothing. I think it should have been said in those reports. He wasn't jailed just because the system is racist. Finally, the third most important fact that these reports omitted. Just why did those warders grab this man and tell him to stop eating biscuits and hold him down and give him a sedative? How racist is this? Well, in fact, Dungay had chronic schizophrenia. Chronic schizophrenia was also acutely psychotic. Plus, he had a bad case of diabetes. His blood sugar had just been tested. Very, very dangerous levels just before he died. And so when warders saw him eating biscuits, they had to stop him. Because you imagine the media outrage if they just let him die. Again, racism. But Dungay would not stop eating or struggling with them, so the warders held him down so a nurse could sedate him. Now, warning, I'm about to show you footage you may find distressing. In the struggle, it's true, Dungay did call out he couldn't breathe, but most of the warders thought he was once again foxing.
Please don't.
Well, stop spitting your blood and you might be all right.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
You're the one that brought this upon yourself, Dungay.
Now, Dungay died, and that's tragic, very sad for his family. But the coroner ruled out that no one was to blame. He wasn't suffocated, his heart gave out. And again, I will read out some of the coroner's official findings. It says, David had a number of comorbidities, both acute and chronic, which predisposed him to the risk of cardiac arrhythmia, such as long-standing, poorly controlled type 1 diabetes, hyperglycemia, prescriptions of antipsychotic medication. He had an elevated body mass index, meaning he was a little bit fat, and a degree of likely hypoxemia caused by prone restraint. That was the struggle being held down. And extreme stress and agitation as a result of the event. It is not what you might have imagined from all those reports, and yet this is the case that the Guardian Australia says is the symbol of the Black Lives Matter movement here. The reason that officers should be charged, say Black Lives Matter organisers, and almost no journalists challenge that smear or even give the full context. But worse is that I have not heard one political leader, Premier, Prime Minister, even the New South Wales Police Commissioner, not one defend the police and the warders either. Instead, the New South Wales Premier yesterday suggested that those organisers of the Black Lives Matter protests were actually raising an important issue. They just shouldn't march during a pandemic.
Please don't protest. Please, we don't want to take away from the importance of the issue, and a lot of people feel strongly about the issue. But we are in the middle of a pandemic.
No, Premier, this Black Lives Matter protesters was based on a disgusting smear of the police and prison warders, of our society and its guardians. But where were our leaders to defend them?